Hello, I am Chuck. I am the Midwest Regional Manager here at the Campus Vote Project, and I am calling in from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I have several other Campus Vote Project staff that are on this call. If all of y'all could unmute and just say hello and let us know your name and position. Amber.
Hi everyone, I'm the Virginia State Coordinator and my name is Amber and I use she, her pronouns.
Bianca.
Hi everybody, I am Bianca Avery. I'm the Texas State Coordinator and I also use she, her pronouns.
Justa.
Hi everyone, my name is Justa. I'm the Arizona State Coordinator and I'll be having my camera off just for some Wi-Fi issues, but it's nice to have everyone.
And is there any other Campus Vote Project staff on the call? All right, so I will be sharing my screen here momentarily. But if you do have questions as we go, you can put the questions in the chat box, and I will do my best to catch them, or my amazing Campus Vote Project team will also try to respond. So this webinar today is on writing your final report, which is the final piece of the Campus Vote Project and NASPA Voter-Friendly Campus program. Your campuses have worked so hard between the November, and many states had primary. So we know your campus is doing this work. It's now time to write it all down, reflect on it, and get the proper recognition that you deserve. As part of today's webinar, we do want to also have just a brief opportunity for campuses to share any successes or any challenges that they had in the November election. But before we just really jump into our content, in the chat, if you could put your name, your campus, what state you're from, and I clearly did not finish that question. Let's say, what is something that you are looking forward to in 2023? So please put your name, campus, your state, and something that you're looking forward to in 2023. So as people are putting in their introductions, here's a brief agenda that we're going to go through. We'll start with just a very brief review of what is the voter-friendly campus, what is the process. We'll ask if campuses want to share any successes or challenges that they faced during the most recent voting period. Then we'll go through the actual VSC final report, and we'll share it is really what we are trying to get out of the report. Then if there are any questions. So as all of you know, or you want to be here, the Voter-Friendly Campus is an award designation. It is a program between the Campus Vote Project and the NASPA to really recognize that every campus should be involved in democratic engagement. And these campuses who get this designation have truly shown that this work is part of your campus culture. It is important, and we understand this work of getting out the student vote looks very different campus to campus, and it's so important that everything is written down. We're sharing our story, also as a way to help us build towards the future. So the process to become a voter-friendly campus, which is once you are designated, it is only good for a 2-year cycle. All of you back in probably 2021, you wrote your statement, then you developed your action plan. And I just want to remind everyone the action plan for this program is the same action plan for the All In Democracy Challenge. So if you submitted to us, you should have submitted to them and vice versa. Then really phase 3 was everything that you did leading up to November. Some states have that you can vote before. So any sort of early voting activities, really any big pushes that occurred in phase 3. Now we're in phase 4 of writing the final report. This is not meant to just be some pointless exercise. This final report is meant to have everyone sit down with your team and really reflect on what worked, what didn't, what are we really proud of and really excited about that we want people to know about, and then also on the flip side, what can we do to improve? How can we grow our program? So that is the step that we're on now. Those are due January 31st. And I'll talk a little bit towards the end if people need any extra time. And then in March, we will then announce what campuses across the country are officially named voter-friendly campus. If you have been a part of this before, you know it's a super exciting process. We'll send out a press kit that will have this handy dandy graphic that you see at the bottom that shows your campus is a voter-friendly campus. We'll send out sample language if your campus wants to put out anything to the press. And then we do a lot of our own promotion as well. In the day VFCs come out, you'll see a lot of articles and social media posts around the country, and that's super exciting. So we provide your campus, really everything is set up. You just have to put in, that, say if you're the University of Pennsylvania, you just change our template to the University of Pennsylvania is now a voter-friendly campus, and then we give you all the graphics, the tools, so that way you can use your own campus social medias and other sort of processes to help promote that you got this designation. We at this point, we don't have an official date yet. Our team will be reviewing around 200 plus reports. So it is definitely a process because we read every single report. We're going to provide you some feedback, and then we score them. And then once we add up all the scores, that's when we announce and determine who is officially a voter-friendly campus. So I want to allow space if anyone would like to share, and you can just unmute anything that you're really proud of that your campus did in this past fall, or if you saw any major challenges. I know in Michigan, we had a couple campuses where students were still in line voting to 10 or 11 o'clock at night, even though the polls had closed by that point. So that is certainly a challenge that we want to support, working with campuses to work with their local elections office, so we can try to not let that happen again. But if any campus wants to just raise their hand and just share anything you're really proud of or any challenges that you saw in this election. Anyone? Riley, if you want to unmute and share.
Hello.
Hi there.
Yeah, on Kalamazoo, we had a 13-hour long shuttle push to get students to the polls. We managed to have at least 2 volunteers ready to go with either their own vehicle or a campus vehicle every hour from when polls open to polls close on election day.
That's fantastic. Anyone else want to share? And I will totally call on people, but I don't like to be that person. Alex, you're on mute.
Something that we found really helpful that we wouldn't have been able to do without our partnership with Campus Vote was that on election day, we had a hiccup where our great poll workers at our location were asking people to re-register even though they were already registered. And because of that, in our relationship with our Campus Vote Project state coordinator, we were able to quickly have a resolution, and our city clerk came down and made sure everything went smoothly for the rest of the day.
That's fantastic. What campus are you?
Oh, sorry, I'm from Carroll University in Wisconsin.
Ah, yes. I read that. So I was like, was this a Texas campus? But I do remember the Wisconsin. Yes, we are very happy that we could work through that. Anyone else? So let's see if we can get one more person. I'm apologize if I'm mispronouncing this. Sana?
That's absolutely correct. That's exactly how you pronounce that.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Sana Raikov at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We had 2 experiences on the positive side, right? But you also asked for challenges.
Yeah.
So the main challenge is for me and for the team at TAMUCC was that we had a very short timeline. And so we were just running around like crazy, and it took much more time than we anticipated, with good results. But yeah, that was an obstacle, not being able to prepare that much in the spring semester for what was coming in the fall. And now you're on mute.
Yes, no, thank you for sharing that. I saw Brandon raise his hand. Do you want to share?
Yeah, so I'm at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. I have the pleasure of being also the chair of the polling location on campus with the city of Detroit, along with our Warriors Vote campaign. So for us, I think things went really well. We had huge campaigns and huge institutional efforts from the university of putting like promo out. The only thing day of election, I mean, we definitely had an influx of students and just folks coming to vote that day, is that we had issues with students who were not able to verify their on-campus address. And so they were not able to do like a same-day register voting because they didn't have any proof of like residency living on campus based on like their housing contract. So we're going to be working with housing here to see what we can do so students have access to some sort of contract or verification on day of election.
Fantastic. Thanks to all of the campuses that shared. In this process of writing the report, these are the things that we really want to hear. Let's celebrate your successes, but let's also talk about what didn't go as well, because then we can, as Campus Vote Project, we can then get a better picture of what are the challenges across the country, so we can better support our campuses. But we also have, we have a team of election law attorneys. So if we have a lot of campuses telling us things that may have violated election codes, we also want to be there to support that as well. So this is just, I can't really emphasize how important this final report is. So now let's just really dive into it. I'm going to switch screens. and go to the Voter Friendly Campus website. And this is where you would have submitted your statement of interest. And this is now where you're submitting your plan. And if you click on submit your also where you submitted your plan, and this is where you're submitting your end of the year report, it walks through really some of the questions that we are looking for to help us drive our program so we can better support all of you, but also wanting you as a campus to really think about what part of your programs are very good and what can we improve on. And then finally, as crazy as it's to think, we're not too far off from the 2024 presidential. And then many states across the country have very important races in 2023. So we also want you to think about, now that you've done all this wonderful work in 2022, where do you go from here? So we hope that these questions will guide your report. There is really no specific format in terms of you have to put it in a Word document, a PowerPoint, anything. And also, like, don't feel like you have to write this 50-page colored thing with pictures. Like, that's all fantastic, and a lot of campuses will. But we have seen some very complete and successful reports that, as long as they cover the questions, that's all that matters. And then you just submit your report through here, and then we allow the month of February, our team will go through and score them, and then in March we'll provide you the feedback from the report, as well as what the designation is. So I'm not gonna read through all of these out loud. All of you have this link, but this is really, and I'm gonna drop it in the chat as well. This is really what we are aiming to see in the final report. Also on the Voter Friendly Campus website, we have several examples of final reports from the past. We have certainly tweaked what is included in what the questions are, but you can click on them. Here's a one from Macomb Community College. You can see it's a short report, 8 pages, but they covered everything. They included some photos. And of course, this is one of the many campuses that got designated. So we don't want this to be a burden. We want this to be something that is helpful for you. And we also ask that if you have a coalition, have them help put this report together, and then spend some time at an upcoming meeting reviewing the report with your coalition. So another thing I do want to mention, we have asked that these are due January 31st, but we also understand that some people are coming back to school. So for some of you, this may be your first week. If you absolutely do not think you can submit by the 31st, if you live in a state where you have a state coordinator, just let your coordinator know that you need a little bit more time, and they can certainly provide a little bit of an extension. And if you don't have a state coordinator, my contact is in the chat as well. So I did see a question about the report to the All In Challenge. That would have been your campus action plan, and not a report. The All In Challenge doesn't have an actual report. They do send out a survey, but that is different from this. But if you submitted an action plan to the All In Challenge, we would have also submitted it to us. So I just want to open the floor. Are there any questions? I think this is a very straightforward report, but if you do have any concerns as you're putting it together, again, reach out to your state coordinator, or you can reach out to your staff. The final thing I really want to talk about as you are working through this and really thinking about it, every 2 years after we review these plans, we then go through and we write our own report, which we do actually have beautiful printed copies that we take to numerous conferences of different events, where every campus who gets the designation is listed in this book. And then we take some pieces of all these reports, and we'll share some of them in the final report. So of course it's not downloading for me, but you can check on the VFC website if you haven't seen the official VFC report in the past. But we do try to highlight the amazing work that many of the campuses have done. And we'll also pull some quotes from these reports, especially around successes, for future marketing. So here's the final report that we put out. And I'll just find an example quickly. We talked about how everything went virtual. So then we highlighted Tri-C, which is an amazing community college in Ohio. We took pieces from their report and then we promoted it into our report. There's a great question about action plans. So everything runs on a 2-year cycle. So in May of 2024, when you should really be finalizing you should be planning for the fall of 2024, essentially that's when you'll have wrote an action plan for the All In Challenge and for us. I will say we are planning to do like focus groups with some campuses because we've gotten a lot of feedback about them. So I don't know what the future plans will look like, but as part of this program and the All In Challenge, it's essentially every 2 years. So once you get this designation in March, you're considered a voter-friendly campus for 2023 and 2024, and then we'll do the process again for 2025 and 2026. So that's the long way of saying yes, but we are definitely looking to revise and improve the processes, and especially based on a lot of feedback that we've got. And all of you on here, we certainly want your feedback as well. We think both the action plan and reports are very helpful, but we're also always open to hearing feedback on how we can make them more helpful for your campus. So are there any other questions? So just work through these questions, provide as much detail as you can. As I said, we've had some wonderful reports that the campus gets designated that are just a couple pages, and we get some that are 40 or 50. Both are great. I think it is really up to you as a campus on how you approach this report. The score. Yes, great question. So for the score, we go through section by section and we see the bullets. We are looking for, did you respond to those questions? And was it like actual quality responses, or was it just like a one word, yes, we did voter education? Okay, so that might get you 1. But if you actually explain, okay, how did you provide students nonpartisan voting information and actually respond to the question? So I think the best way I can respond to that is respond to the questions, but you will get a copy of your score following the designation. designation. Part of the purpose of the scoring is to also see growth over time. We did a completely different way of scoring in the past, but we're hoping in the future then campuses can see, okay, our score was really strong on successes and challenges and analysis, but maybe we only got a 1 on thinking beyond 2022. So that should then encourage your coalition to say, okay, maybe we really do need to reflect on what are we going to do beyond 2022. I'm reading the questions about what is the advantages. Give me 1 second while I read the question. So I commend and really appreciate everything that you just said. And I do think that there are many campuses where it is just a few people, so we totally recognize that. What I'm gonna say, some of the advantages and benefits of this, well, there's a bunch, but I think I think the recognition I think is I think the obvious. Some campuses, quite frankly, the president might not even know this is something happening on their campus. So when we do the designation, NASPA, who's the National Student Affairs Association, they send out a nice thing to every campus president with a copy of the report. So it's awareness and publicity. But then I think stepping back, when Campus Vote Project and other organizations give out funding, which last year we gave out over $250,000 in mini grants, we tend to focus more on our voter-friendly campuses. This past year, for instance, we were able to award multiple HBCU campuses $5,000 grants, but part of the process was you had to be part of the voter-friendly campus. So there are always different funding opportunities. I recognize not every campus we can financially support. And then in states where we run our fellowship, we do tend to try to focus also on the voter-friendly campuses. And we want this to be a program where you're being opened up and connected to all sorts of different opportunities, especially around like the financial aspect. We always promote and push out during National Voter Registration Week. There's many grants associated with that, as well as the Ask Every Student. So it's I hear exactly what you said, and I think it's a really great point. But it is just it's an avenue to both recognize that this is something that's happening. Hopefully it will then open avenues for your campus administration to say, oh, this is really important. We didn't realize this was happening. Maybe we should provide more support. But then we also try to provide avenues to also support these campuses. So maybe that was long-winded. Hold on, let me see what else is in the chat. Yeah, I think Alana has a really good point. We are also we're gonna really try to like send out an actual certificate as well, instead of just being like, here's a fancy graphic, here's a press release. But we know for a lot of people, you know, when you're applying for tenure or promotions, that it's really valuable to have like, you know, some sort of certificate or something to prove, you know, this was something you made happen. So we have not done that before, but we've had actually several campuses ask, hey, can you send us this for send us something. So we're certainly going to work on that as well, because we yes, ultimately we want this to benefit the students. We want you to have a good organized program, but we also want to help the people that are involved in this program. So if sending a certificate so you can prove that this was something you helped led can help you, then we want to help you. So I know that was long-winded, but hopefully all those pieces help make sense. I also would say, I think the final important thing, we understand that all of you are from higher ed, and most of us come from political campaign spaces. So for some people who this has become part of their job, you might never have been on a political campaign. You might not have ever done voter registration. So if we can, use your expertise as higher ed admins and our expertise as people who, many of us have been involved in campaigns for a very long time, to then say, okay, let's come up with ways that you can do this in a nonpartisan way. Myself and many of our staff, we are always here to provide, nonpartisan support and guidance to our voter-friendly campuses. And which is also why having NASPA, who has that higher ed expertise, is also really important. I could talk about VSC all day. Any other questions? Awesome. So I'm gonna put my direct email in the chat. I always am very upfront with people, especially right now. Every time you submit a report, it goes to my inbox. So bear with me if you send me something, but myself and all of our amazing state coordinators, we are here to provide support. And again, if you need extra time or need any help or feedback, let us know. And with that, our section is now done. We look forward to reading your reports, and most importantly, we look forward to announcing all of the new voter-friendly campuses here in March. Thanks all. Have a great day.